What is spatial justice? Well, iconic examples of justice and injustice are tied to human rights in pivotal historical moments, like who is fighting for justice or when has justice been granted to underrepresented groups. But more recently, theorists are turning their attention to where justice is distributed. Edward Soja, one of the best-known spatial theorists and a pioneer of spatial justice, writes that location will always have attached to it some degree of relative advantage or disadvantage. The concept of spatial justice comes from the idea that space cannot be separated from how we experience the world. It takes a definition of social justice and applies it to geography. So let's look at a couple of examples. No matter where people live, transportation services have an effect on their day-to-day lives. For example, urban centers have denser transportation networks. And as a result, more food and goods are delivered and a wider variety of amenities are accessible. But transportation can also have negative effects on surrounding communities, since it causes traffic, pollution, road safety issues, and noise. Physical and social infrastructure varies from area to area, even within an urban center. Impoverished neighborhoods may not have as much access to services and transportation networks like bike-sharing initiatives or reliable city transit. With less food diversity and fewer green spaces, some communities transform so-called dead spaces like parking lots into community gardens. Energy grids vary from city to city. The more people there are, the higher the demand and consumption of energy. But on the other hand, small communities receive less energy even though they are often closer to energy production sites. And as a result, these rural areas weather the negative effects of byproducts. What about byproducts of industrial production? Electronic waste is exported to lower-income countries where women and children break it down. Or on an environmental level, oil spills and soil contamination caused by production affect surrounding ecosystems. Communities near industrial areas may have less green space because parks, forests, and hiking trails make way for production sites. Consider smaller remote towns whose industry revolves around natural resources. The working population may be more economically vulnerable as they have little job diversity and job security. So now that we have seen some examples of how experience can differ from community to community, what can we do to help increase spatial justice? Well, we can start by localizing food production and supporting small businesses. This will increase local demand and access while decreasing transport traffic. We can localize energy production sites within the areas they are serving. We can increase access and opportunity for education, healthcare, and social services, especially for remote and rural communities. We can build resilience against economic downturn by diversifying job opportunities in small and rural communities. Our lives and experiences vary from place to place. By encouraging fair distribution of resources like transportation and energy, as well as improving infrastructure and job diversity, we come closer to a spatially just society.